If you've added different marketing channels to your business over time, but you're still running the same old funnel that you built 10 years ago, then chances are you are leaving a lot of money on the table. And the more time goes by, the more drift there is between the emails that you're sending out, the sales pages that you're sending people to, and the actual people who are coming through from different channels. Now, I learned this lesson a few years ago when in my language business, story learning, our traffic started to shift. We had always been very heavy on SEO, but then after the Google AI shifts a few years ago, that started to drop. And then over time, we worked very hard and quite successfully on replacing that with YouTube traffic and leads from YouTube. And in fact, we did that so successfully that over time, we ended up getting more leads from YouTube than we ever had from SEO, all-time highs, but revenue was still down. Now, why is this? It's because the funnels that we were running were built for SEO, people who are coming from Google search, not built for people from YouTube. And this showed very, very starkly how not all leads are equal, and leads from one channel to another can be drastically different in terms of profitability. And what that means for you is that you need to adapt your marketing to those different sources of traffic. Now, I'm not suggesting here that you should have 5 different funnels, one for every different traffic source that you have. But if you're like most businesses that I come across, the funnels that you do have are probably way outdated for the kinds of traffic that you are currently generating. So let's think about SEO, which was where we used to get a lot of our leads from. So what are the characteristics of a lead who comes from SEO? Well, they start their journey off with a Google search. From that Google search, they click through and they will read a blog post. From that blog post, they will opt into a lead magnet on the site, and then they will join our email list, they'll receive our emails, and then eventually they'll end up with a sales page and hopefully buy something. And this is the way that the online business ran for many, many years. And the characteristics of these people are that, first of all, they are seeking answers. The fact that they go to Google in the first place and type something in, how to lose weight, they are actively seeking answers, which is not the case for a lot of other people on the internet these days. So we'll come back to that in a second. So they're seeking answers actively. They are then consuming this material in the medium of text, right? Google is text, blogs are text, PDF, lead magnets and emails are text. So these people are basically readers. And readers are quite a small subsection of the population. In fact, fewer than 38% of people in America reported reading even one book last year. So most people are not readers, and you start to understand this when we look at the alternative, which is YouTube. So we started getting more leads from YouTube, and so how do we think that leads from YouTube might differ in the way they consume information from people who are coming through SEO? Well, if we start from this point in the funnel and we ask, right, well, how is a YouTube viewer who's used to watching videos on their phone going to react to a text-based lead magnet that they have to read? A sequence of emails, text-based emails that you send, a long-form text-based sales page. Some of them might be fine with that, but it is not a given the stats that we know about how many people read, it is not a given that they are going to consume all of these different parts of your funnel in the same way. And this explains why we saw a drop in revenue despite having more leads coming from YouTube. That's the only variable that's changed. So now let's imagine that you're in a similar situation where you have a funnel that looks like this, lead magnet email sales page that you built maybe 10 years ago. But in the meantime, your audience has shifted away from SEO into a different medium. It could be YouTube, it could be podcast, it could be TikTok, I don't know. How might you want to think about rebuilding your funnel in order to meet these people where they are and deliver the kind of content that they would be most likely to respond to? Well, if we start with lead magnets, well, a lead magnet that's based on text is obviously not going to be the natural medium for someone who comes to you from video. So right off the bat, we need to think about this in a different way. If you're going to offer a lead magnet, because you still need email capture, and don't make the mistake that just because this is YouTube or social media, we don't do lead capture. Email is still king, and I think will be for a very, very long time. So we still need to get the lead, right? We still need the lead magnet, but rather than offering something that they have to consume via text, we might instead want to say, here's a special video or a free webinar or a masterclass or something that they can consume in the same way. If they've come from YouTube watching video, it makes sense for the next logical step to also be video. It's their natural habitat. So we might want to offer video instead. Maybe instead of text, there's some kind of widget or a calculator or a tool of some kind, something that's kind of more interactive, something that someone who is basically on YouTube for entertainment is going to be likely to want to consume. Basically anything other than a lot of text. All right, so our lead magnet might change. Now let's think about email. So if you've got a reader coming through your funnels, then sending them a lot of email is probably a good idea. They're going to be predisposed to consuming that content. But again, if you've got YouTube viewers or people who are coming from social media or podcast listeners who are used to listening to stuff, are they going to sit down and read long form emails? Those same long form emails that have just worked for so long? Possibly not. It doesn't mean don't send them, but again, we're not working with people as they come to us. And similarly, story-based stuff, like I'm all for story-based stuff all day long, but if you're asking people to consume longer stories in text format over email, it's not a given that that is going to work. Most likely, all that's going to happen is that these emails are just not going to get consumed because they're too long. And the email that doesn't get consumed is not doing its job. So what would you do instead? Well, you would start to think about email slightly differently. What kind of email is going to be more likely to get consumed by a YouTube viewer? Well, we already know it's not going to be long and drawn out and very verbose, right? So it needs to be something that's easy to consume, which probably means shorter, possibly contains more visuals. You might like to, from email, link out to video. So if you have got your greatest hits over video, then sending people back to those greatest hits videos from email kind of makes sense, right? It's more likely to get consumed. We know that for sure. And then what I've seen actually is that when you're marketing to people who are opting into email lists from social media, from YouTube, that actually more direct marketing tends to work. By which I mean more direct sales messages, more direct kind of problem solution, pain point type emails. And I think the reason for this is that they are not predisposed to spend a lot of time reading email. And so when they do open the email and read what you've got to say, you need to hit quite hard in order to get that effect. Otherwise, they're just not going to read it. They're not going to get consumed and your open rate is going to start falling. And then when you come to make an offer, they just haven't been primed. The job of email is to build that relationship and prime people so that when they do eventually get to the sales page, they're ready to buy. And so we've got to give them email that can get consumed. And then when they do get to the sales page finally, well, what's that going to look like? Well, I'll tell you what it's not going to be. It's not going to be long form sales page. Again, these things that have worked so well for ages, a video viewer, social media viewer is not going to sit and read long form sales pages. The whole reason that long form sales pages work is because quite a lot of people traditionally have been perfectly happy reading through those long form sales pages. They might not read every word, but in a long form sales page, it has all the information there. So even if you're skimming and looking for a piece of information, you can skim it and you can find it and it's there. Again, this doesn't mean do away with it altogether, but that's not where you would naturally start if your people are coming from YouTube. What would you do instead? Well, first of all, you'd start with a VSL, wouldn't you? If someone's coming from a video viewing mindset, give them a video to consume. And remember, a VSL can simply be the same text as the long form sales page, but just delivered in video with a teleprompter. It doesn't have to be all that different, but the medium makes a big difference. The other thing you might think about is if people are not consuming your longer sales pages, so the sales pages are not getting consumed, then retargeting ads are going to help here because they're going to put the sales page back in front of these people a lot more. So these are the sort of ways that you might think of doing this differently. So these are some of the different ways that you might start to think about your funnels differently if, much like what I went through, if you first put your funnels together like in 2015 and you've been running them ever since with minimal structural changes, and then you find 10 years later that something starts changing, these are the sort of things that you would want to start to consider. Because of AI, we actually have a way to make a lot of these changes and test a lot of these changes very, very quickly. Because the problem with the kind of thing I'm telling you here is that you're going to interpret this as a lot of very hard work, and rightly so. Rebuilding your whole funnel is a big job, right? You've got lead magnets, emails, sales pages. Who are we kidding? This is no small job. But we can actually now start to test these things quite quickly. So this is something that I've been doing recently with entrepreneurs that I mentor to start to test the efficacy of their funnels in light of all of these changes. And you can start with Claude or whatever LLM that you use, and you can start by linking it up to all the different parts of your business. So with the Google API, you can have it connected to YouTube, so it can start to go through all of your videos and read comments. You can connect it to your support desk, so it can read all the support tickets, any customer surveys that you run, things that people are saying about you on Reddit, which if you're anything like me, you just try and avoid like the plague, but it's actually quite useful source of data. So if you now hook these things up to your AI of choice, then you can say to it, I want you to go off and do a big research project, read every single YouTube comment from the last 2 years, every single support ticket, every single survey result that we've had, everything that's ever come into my email inbox, everything that's been said about us on Reddit. And I want you to go off and compile a big report about what people are saying, with the goal of identifying pain points, identifying motivators, identifying purchase intent, identifying the language that people use. And then what you can do is, once you have that in, you can say, compare that to my current funnel and do what's called a gap analysis. And a gap analysis is simply, what is the difference between what we currently have and this other piece of data over here? And the AI will come back, and because of the sheer volume of data that you're able to feed it, that you would never practically be able to analyze by yourself, or even with a whole team of people, it would take months to do this. AI can do it in a matter of minutes, or possibly hours if you give it a lot of stuff. But what it will do is it will start to just list out this, and although with anything that AI spits out, we don't want to just take it at face value, what it's very, very good at is consuming large amounts of data and saying, look, your current funnel focuses on 1, 2, 3, these 3 things, but what's clearly coming up in every single support ticket and YouTube comment is this, this, and this. And when I've gone through this process with entrepreneurs, the results are often quite shocking. We often find that your current funnel focuses on like one big pain point, maybe 2 big pain points over here that used to be true 10 years ago, but everything that's coming back from your current audience suggests a couple of different things. And when you see that data laid out in front of you, like, man, it just makes no sense to be marketing in the way that we are currently marketing. And so what you can then do, if you have good processes and skills set up, is you can literally say to AI, go off and write me a brand new email funnel based on everything that you've uncovered in this gap analysis, hitting all of the pain points that we now believe to be true based on the research that we've done. And you can implement that today. Is it perfect? No. Is it going to be full of gaps? Yes. Is it going to be as good as it would be if you wrote it all yourself? No, it's not. But what you lose in polish, you gain in speed, because you can implement this and you can have hard results back in within the next 3 or 4 weeks, which allows you to very quickly test whether the whole premise of this stuff is actually working or not. And if you get an uplift or a change in any kind, essentially you learn the lesson fast. And the big benefit that these AI processes can give us now is the ability to move quickly. And so the way that we want to approach this is, first of all, by implementing this very quickly. Look, regardless of how well your emails are written, if your audience has this pain point over here and you're writing about this point over here, then it's a mismatch. And if you just align those two, you should see an immediate gain in your funnels, irrespective of how good the emails are, right? So we want to learn these lessons sooner rather than later, because speed of iteration, etc., etc. So implement this quickly, look at the results. And I would start with your email funnels. I would change nothing else. Very tempting with AI to start changing everything, your sales page, all those other things. Don't. Change one thing. This is the rule of 1. Only change one thing in your test. Keep your sales page, everything else the same. Just change those email funnels. And then track the behavior. We use Segmetrics in our business, which allows us to see what every customer who's going through is actually clicking on and engaging with. Do they, from the emails, do they go off and watch videos? What exactly do they do? Track the behavior closely so that you can actually see what changes when you implement these new funnels. And then once you've got the results back in, which are hopefully going to be positive results, then you can start to expand that to other funnel elements. So for example, if you change the focus of your emails to be on a different pain point, you implement it and it works, then you've now validated that that pain point is true. So it now makes sense to rewrite your sales page, for example, to be based on those pain points, but only once you've validated it, right? It's like a one step after the next in a logical sequential order. And again, what you lose in finesse, you gain in speed. And just a few months from now, you can have your entire marketing process redesigned based on a data-driven set of things that you do. And the longer you've been in business, the more important this is. If you've been in business for, I'd say, over 5 years, you should take this stuff quite seriously, especially now with the speed that we are able to move at with AI. But this is just one of a whole host of lessons really that I try to pull out and teach based on having been doing this stuff for over 13 years now and seeing how things change and understanding what things are important to focus on and what aren't. And in this video over here, I list all of those lessons because they're quite important and you can have them all for free.